first I want to review last week. We failed in doing that in our last episode.
Yes, we did.
So I will run through what we did the week before last, which was week 2. So I had a terrible week. I went 2-5. Um, Only got the Wisconsin, Eastern Michigan under, and North Carolina minus 25.5. It's not fun. You did a little bit better, but not great. You went 4-5. Um, so after that week, in our ongoing competition of if you go positive in a week, that's a win. If you go negative, that's a loss. If you go even, that's a draw. Um, I am 1-0-2 through week 2, and Cody was 1-1-1 through week 2.
Is the middle number like the tie? Can we make the second number the L's and the first number W's and the last number ties?
I can change that. So I am 1-2-0, and you are still 1-1-1. But that's just through week 2. I will change it
Okay.
for this next week. So this past weekend, I went even. So I went 4-4. You went positive. You went 6-5, and then Spencer made picks last week, and he killed it. Spencer killed it on his picks last week. He went 5-2-2, did really well.
Yeah.
Had a couple unfortunate pushes that should have been wins. Iowa won by exactly 23, and Ohio State Tulsa went to exactly 61 points when he had the over on 61. So that's a tough break. But so after
Dang.
yeah. After week what was that, week 3, my overall record just on every game is 10-14, and in the wins, loss, draw, ongoing competition between Cody and I am 1-2-1. Cody, overall you're 15-14, and in our competition you're 2-1-1. So
I'm over 500.
you're doing
If I'm at Kansas, they're keeping me forever.
Yes, you are the greatest head football coach, other than the 1 year Mark Mangino where they made an Orange Bowl. You are the greatest head coach in Kansas history with that record.
Most wins ever too.
Yeah, yep. All right, so moving
That's funny.
into this week's picks. So I have 8 total picks. Cody, you have 11. So why don't you get us started with a couple of your picks?
Yeah. So just for my fans out there, I will never have another tie week again ever. This is America. Uh,
Well, now you're gonna
I
make
will
me pick
only
another game.
ever have odd numbers. Anyways, no, you can have even numbers.
No,
I'm
no,
just like
no, no.
I now have principles.
Okay.
Um,
So you're saying I don't have
okay.
principles?
I mean, they're just different than mine.
Fair enough.
All right. So this week, I'm going out on a limb here. This team has given me nothing to believe that they can do this, but for some reason I feel that they can.
Okay.
I don't know why. Texas Tech plus 7.5 versus Texas. I think this says more about Texas than it does about Texas Tech.
Okay.
I mean, I guess Texas Tech did win against Houston, and I think Houston's a pretty decent team. And I think Texas is like good, but like not great. So I think that they give them 7.5 points. I think that they win.
You think they win? Oh, okay. Okay. Never mind. I understand what you're saying now. I don't love
Yeah.
that pick, but I also, for some reason, just have this idea in my head that Texas is just superior to Texas Tech, and that's probably just not the reality.
Not. They're gonna go. They're when Texas hits the SEC, they're gonna be last in the SEC
Are
in their
they?
first year.
They're going to be better than Vanderbilt.
Okay, they'll be tied for last
Okay. Tied
with
for last.
Vanderbilt.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
they'll win the tiebreaker because they'll have more points.
Yeah. Yeah. Just score one touchdown, they'll have more points than Vanderbilt. Um,
Ruth.
let's see. So you want to do another one, or you want me to go?
Uh, all right, I got Utah State plus 9 versus Boise State.
Okay.
I don't really understand why Utah State is a dog here.
This big of a dog.
Going in 3-0. Yeah, like that big of a dog. Like I could see 3 points, but I think you get 9 points all day. That's
Yeah.
that's an easy bet for me.
Yeah.
Utah State's a pretty good team.
Yeah. Well, they won. I actually have that as down as well. I had it at plus 9.5 on FanDuel. So I will be
Okay,
taking
I'll put mine at plus 9.5.
that's one that
Give
I
me more
had
points.
as well. I think Boise State is having in the middle of a down year. This is their first year of a new head coach, so
Yeah,
um, there's
I tend
still.
to agree.
I think there's still just it's Boise State. They're the best team in the Mountain West. Anybody else, they're at least a touchdown favorite by. Doesn't really. You don't even really need to think about it. But I definitely think
Sure,
Utah State's a little underrated, so I like that.
I agree.
I'll go ahead and
I don't
go.
know. The Mountain West is pretty good this year, but
Yeah, there's. I mean, Fresno State.
I mean, Fresno State is third in the Pac-12, so
Yeah. So okay, yeah. Um, so my first pick is the Thursday night game. I'm going to take Marshall plus 7.5. I just think this is a close game. I'm not necessarily. I think it's a coin flip game. I think either team can win. So if I can get more than a touchdown with Marshall, I'm going to take that. So Marshall plus 7.5 is going to be my first bet.
I like it. I like it. I'm going back to the well of betting that Army will cover. They disappointed me last week, but I think that it is entirely possible that they will win by 8.5 points versus Miami. So give me Army minus 8.5, Miami, Ohio. I also think they could win by 8.5 points against Miami of Florida, but I am not being given that option this year.
That is
So
not a game that is scheduled. Um,
kind of sort of related. Did you see that Tennessee canceled their game against Army in favor of playing Akron next year?
I did not.
Yeah, they're paying Army $500,000 to cancel the game that they have scheduled to play in Knoxville, so that they can have Akron, so that they can have another
A
win on their schedule
guaranteed
next year.
win. That's just brilliant. Oh
I
my
don't even
god.
know if it's guaranteed at this point.
That's fair. I mean, Akron's pretty fucking awful.
I mean, but if they have Joe Milton as the quarterback at Tennessee, like I don't feel confident that Tennessee's going to win that game either.
Oh, if Tennessee's just Tennessee, like it doesn't even matter who their quarterback is.
Yeah,
It's just as long as they're
yeah.
still Tennessee, they have that T logo. It's still orange. It's a game.
They've got a dog somewhere around the stadium. Yeah,
Yep,
no.
yep.
Sorry. Tangents again.
Oh well, that's what we're known for. We are fourth and long-winded, so deal with it.
What do you expect?
Yeah. My second bet, well, third, because I had the Utah State as well. I have Notre Dame plus 6.5. I don't understand why they're that big of an underdog against a Wisconsin team that is ranked lower than them. Has a loss against Penn State where they looked anemic on offense, and I just think Notre Dame is being criminally underrated here. And I think I thought about the money line, but I felt even more safe with the plus 6.5. So I'm gonna take that one.
Yeah, so I like this, especially talking it through. I didn't take it just because like it's a neutral site game, and I was like, I just don't know how I feel. Like
If
it's
this
not
was
home, it's not away. Like
if this was
if
at
this at if
Wisconsin,
this is at Notre if this is at Wisconsin,
then I understand this minus six
uh,
and a half.
yeah,
But if it's a neutral site, I think this is just giving me points. I think on a neutral site, this should be a pick'em game. Honestly,
that's fair. I appreciate the sentiment. I'm not jumping on it.
fair enough. What's your next one?
I have TCU minus 8.5 versus SMU. I think that TCU is a better team. Also, TCU's receiving votes in both polls. They're the next one to be ranked in both polls. So I think they win this week, and someone in the top like 15 to 25 loses. They're in.
Yeah,
I think they're probably in, and they just bump someone out.
fair.
Um, yeah, and Gary Patterson always has a good defense, and sometimes the offense isn't awful. And I think that's what this is one of those years.
I can't argue with that. More than I just don't know as much about TCU or SMU, so fair enough.
Sure.
I'll take it. My next
SMU
one,
has dope uniforms though.
they
Like
do.
SMU would win the would you win the uniform competition this week.
Oh yeah, definitely. Is this the week they're wearing the Dallas uniforms? Or is it?
Yeah, but more than likely because it's the Fort Worth Dallas. It's kind of a rivalry, their rivalry game.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it into that, and I mean TCU has dope uniforms too, like those chrome purple
There's
helmets. Ugh,
there's there's not enough
something else.
purple. There's not enough purple teams in the country.
No, there's not. And every time you see it, it's like, oh wow, that's good.
Yep.
It's very nice. So I mean, solid. It's a solid uniform game. We need to like start calling out uniform games.
We had one this
I'm
past
excited.
weekend. That Boise State Oklahoma State game was a
Oh
great
yeah, that was
uniform game.
very fun. Great uniform game. Great uniform game. It was orange on blue.
Oh,
That was fun.
yeah. All right. My next one, I'm picking. So both of the big ranked on ranked games this weekend, I'm betting on both of them. I had Notre Dame plus 6.5, and I'm betting Texas A&M minus 5.5. I just think they're a lot better than Arkansas. This is going to be the first real test. Texas A&M's defense is really good, and this is the first real test that Arkansas State's faced on the defensive side of the ball. So I think that I probably would have bet this if it was at like minus 7.5. Like I would even go a little bit over a touchdown. I don't think this is going to be necessarily too close. But yeah, I'll take Texas A&M minus 5.5.
So I kind of like this, but for some reason, like just like I'm right here, literally right here. She doesn't like your pick.
Yeah, fair.
She
I'm
thinks
sure
that Arkansas has
our friend Austin, doesn't like my pick either. But.
yeah, yeah. She's confident in Arkansas's ability to potentially even win that game. I am not as confident. I think it's possible. I really like this storyline with Arkansas, and if you're not familiar, like it's a pretty decent storyline. But
there were three.
Yeah, I'm staying away from that.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just going based on what I think the talent level of both these teams are, and if I'm only giving 5.5 points, I'm going to take that. I think they win by a touchdown.
Sure.
You want to go ahead with your next pick?
Yes, and it is a risky bet. I'm really being a gambler this week. I have Vanderbilt plus 35.5 versus Georgia.
And I thought you were crazy betting on South Carolina last week against Georgia, but hey, that one covered.
It did. You give me 35 points against Georgia, I'm taking it. Like it's on principle. It's a new principle. You give me 35 points, and I think that pretty much any team in the country, outside of maybe Kansas, can cover.
That's fair. I think that's a solid strategy.
Man, I'm not convinced it's going to happen. Vanderbilt is pretty damn bad.
I was shocked when you read that out to me. I was completely shocked that you had picked Vanderbilt. Anything. I don't care if you're giving them 57.5 points. I can't believe you're taking them.
I believe in Clark Lee.
That game is gonna be 35-0 at half.
It might be. But then Georgia's going to put in their third strings.
And then it'll be 56-0 by the end of the third quarter.
No, then they're not going to score in the half at all.
Okay.
And they're going to help me out here.
All right. I do not like that one. But my next one I do like. I have Indiana minus 9.5, playing at Western Kentucky. I think it's at Western Kentucky, which slightly worries me. But I think Indiana, the Cincinnati game was the first time they looked really good this year. And I think it was the first time Michael Penix looked decent. Yeah, he threw 3 interceptions or something, but he at least he looked better than he had before. So I feel comfortable that they can win that game by 10 points or more.
I think that Indiana, just to spite Cincinnati, because like they apparently now have bad blood between their fans. I think Indiana is going to go down there and lose to Western Kentucky just to like spite Cincinnati, because now they're 1-2. Like, why not make it 1-3?
Yeah.
So that Cincinnati's win against them just looks like
their
garbage.
resume just goes down the toilet.
Yeah. Fuck Cincinnati.
Hey, we beat
That's I can
Indiana,
live
but
that.
then they lost to Western Kentucky the next week, so that doesn't mean anything. All right,
Yeah, yeah.
all right. What's
All
your? I got
right.
five, four
Yeah,
left.
6.
Okay.
And then I have two like that I'm just gonna mention without like actually betting. Um, I have Bowling Green plus 31 versus Minnesota. My rationale for this is I've watched now all three of Bowling Green's games. So I have watched 100% more of Bowling Green's games than the rest of the country.
Than literally everybody else.
And for like honestly, like, and I'm saying this not. I mean, I am a fan of Bowling Green, but like I'm fully in realization that they are bad. Um, they have given me in every game this so far this season, they've given me reasons to believe that they are not the worst team in the United States. They've shown glimmers of hope. They almost won against
Southern Alabama.
South Alabama, Southern Alabama, and I think Southern Alabama
I think
is
it. Wait.
undefeated,
I
3
think
and
it's.
0.
I think it is South Alabama now that I think about it.
South Alabama, yeah, it's South Alabama. Um, and so like I don't know, like I know South Alabama is South Alabama, they're not a great team, but they their defense looked pretty good against Tennessee, which also it's Tennessee, I realize. And then they beat Murray State, who gave Cincinnati fits up through the half. Like Murray State looked really good against Cincinnati, and then Bowling Green pretty much was winning that game throughout. Um, and it looked good. So I just you give me 30 points, and it's like I feel like Minnesota with
So,
their star running back out and they're a running team. Like I don't think they're gonna score that many touchdowns.
so the only thing I don't like about the Bowling Green pick, I can understand taking one of the two terrible teams to cover a big spread. I just think you're asking for one of them to lose if you're picking Vanderbilt and Bowling Green both to cover.
Sure, it's risky. Which one would you take? Like if you had to choose which one is gonna hit.
Bowling Green. I think the Bowling Green one covers more likely
All
than the
right,
Vanderbilt
cool.
ones.
See, that's why I have so many picks. I'm averaging it out. Like I know I'm gonna take this, but like I'm okay with it.
I'm
I
just
just
trying to
need to
go
take
one
more
game
more.
over 500 every week.
Yeah, one game over 500. You need to score one more point than the opponent.
Yep.
Like that's all we got.
Yep. Well, I mean, I can't argue against your
I
strategy so
play
far.
I play betting like I play betting like Oklahoma in the past played football. They just needed to score one more point than
Exactly.
somebody
Who
else.
cares about defense? Who cares if we let them score?
Defense.
We just need to score
That
more.
is,
Well, it's
I've
Ole,
said
it's
that
Ole
for years.
Miss's current philosophy. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin's
Yes, yes.
current
I,
philosophy.
I am I am the Ole Miss of sports betting.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, my next wager is going to be Louisville minus 1.5. They're playing, I think, at Florida State. I just think Florida State's terrible, and Louisville's probably going to win that game pretty easily, even though they're not great. So I think they're better than Florida
I
State.
think that I think that's a pretty good bet. Um, I got San Jose State plus 2.5 versus Western Michigan.
I just think San Jose
I don't
State's a
understand
better team.
better team. I don't understand why they're dogs.
Yeah. I understand it's at
Um,
Western Michigan, which like West
yeah,
Coast team traveling that far East Coast, but at the same time, talent I think is
I
going
don't
to
know.
win out.
Maybe Oregon is going to give them a little bit of a East Coast magic.
A blueprint.
And West Coast going to start like blueprint. I'll go. I have quite a few left. So Washington State plus 14 versus the Utes of Utah. And
The
I think
1 and
Washington State's
2
pretty
Utah
bad.
Utes.
I think Washington State's pretty bad, and Utah's gonna win, but I don't know that Utah wins by two tutties with a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
That where their starting quarterback wasn't very good. So
He just quit. He just left the program.
yeah, loser.
Yeah. I mean, what do you
I
expect?
mean, actually, he's pretty smart. Um, leaving that dumpster fire,
Yeah,
but
I agree.
right.
I think no, I did not have NC State. No, you had NC State. I have
I
it written down.
did.
That's your next one.
I
I
have
was looking at the wrong
I
column.
have NC State plus 10 versus Clemson. You're good.
Yeah,
I got a lot of them.
sorry.
I mean, we've talked about this. I think Clemson is good. I just think that NC State is much better than Georgia Tech, and
This
it,
game,
I mean,
this game's
yeah,
at NC State as well, so
yeah.
I think NC State historically always kind of plays Clemson pretty close as well. Like the last couple years when Clemson's been at the top of the college football world, I think they've been playing them pretty close.
I don't
I
have any truthful reference on that. I know Syracuse does for
I
some dumb
just
reason.
I just I don't know. I have no evidence, but I just have a gut feeling that NC
I
State
like it.
plays Clemson
Let's
close
go with it.
historically. Reckless speculation. Um, I'll go next. I have Liberty minus 6.5 against Syracuse. Syracuse is just pretty terrible, and Liberty's pretty good, so I think they win by more than a touchdown.
I actually think the Liberty should probably be ranked. Like they haven't played anybody, but just based
They're
off last year, I think they should be ranked.
they're another one of those
So
teams like
I
TCU that's like getting votes, also receiving
yeah,
votes. So
yeah. You know who didn't receive any votes at all this week for the AP poll that probably I think should be
oh,
is Louisiana.
you get one loss, and
I
then it
mean, they
takes they'll probably get back in the conversation when they run through some of the Sun Belt.
sure, but they won against Ohio, and I don't think Ohio's a bad team by like 40 points.
Yeah,
Like they beat
yeah,
Ohio,
yep.
so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess
This
it's
is
my
the
turn,
time of
right?
year that like they just put all of the Power 5
Flashy teams.
conference that went undefeated in their non-conference play, like Michigan State, Kansas State's ranked this week for some ungodly reason. But yeah.
Fresno State is now ranked. You
Yeah.
know, Pac-12 third
Yep,
place.
very good point. They ran through
Um,
their first 3 games of the Pac-12. Um,
yeah, so
I have 2 games left to pick or to state because I added
I
one
also have two.
to make it an odd number.
Okay. I have two, but then I have the two that I just kind of want to talk about.
All right.
So I'll just do one. I'll do one. Kansas plus 16 versus Duke. I think the spread on this is just like too much, and you give me that many points, like I'm comfortable taking Kansas because I don't think that either of them are going to really score more than like one or two touchdowns. So like if Kansas scores a field goal and Duke scores 14 points, like I think that that's an easy bet for me.
Fair enough. I have it's one of my life mantras is just don't bet on Kansas. Doesn't matter how many points you're giving me. It's like Vanderbilt. Same ballpark.
I bet bad football, dude.
Yeah, fair.
Bad football still makes money.
Yeah.
And then I'll do my final official bet since you only have two left. I have Buffalo minus 13.5 versus Old Dominion. I think Buffalo's gonna beat
Oh,
Old
they're gonna
Dominion
roll.
pretty bad.
That's a really good
All
bet.
right, what's your last one?
Last two, I have
Thank you.
Florida minus 18.5. They're playing home to Tennessee, so and they're coming off.
That's risky, but I like it.
It's coming off against Alabama. I think they roll through Tennessee. So, and then my
I
last
like it.
one is Houston minus 20.5, playing home against Navy. And Navy, I don't know if you've paid attention this year. Navy's
Bad.
pretty awful. So I'm gonna take Houston. I think I saw at some point that like, oh no, it was a tweet where somebody it was the U.S. women's national team was playing a game again,
Yeah,
and
and they've scored more.
well, one person,
Um,
one girl on the team was
yeah.
like scored 5 goals, and Navy is averaging 5 points per game this season. So,
Yep.
so
Yep. Yep. They're pretty bad.
yeah,
So I have two that I just kind of want to talk about that I want to put out there to our two listeners in case they're doing some sports betting this weekend. UConn is starting, I think it's 12 freshmen versus Wyoming. Wyoming, who is undefeated, and UConn is going to Wyoming. Stop, please. And I think Wyoming's pretty good. I'm just not familiar enough with Wyoming's offense to know if they can put up 29 versus UConn. Also, UConn, I guess, can score.
They they
They
surprised
proved
me
that
this
against
past.
Army.
Yeah,
They shocked me. And then my other one was Memphis -3 versus UTSA. I think that Memphis is just like a touchdown better than UTSA, but like I'm also not willing to bet that because like I've been keeping an eye out for UTSA and I like them, so I kind of want to like root for them, but I also don't want them to win that game
yeah,
because I like Memphis because the American.
yep,
So like I'm not making a bet on that game because I have too many mixed outside emotions
yeah,
on it.
yeah. Yeah. I respect that.